Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast, the podcast where we get to learn about the process of development of leadership, that leadership doesn't just happen. There's a lot of process that leads to the advancement of a leader. And also, we also emphasize the place of mentorship in the process of the advancement of a leader. On this podcast today, this is your host, Dr. Michael Koku. On this podcast today is a very, very special friend of mine. It's actually a mentor. It's also a mentor of mine and someone that I have so much respect. He was trained as a pharmacist, but now is into the personal development, personal growth, leadership space, making a difference. And, I always look for people that we add value to you on this podcast. I look for people that have results that are changing lives, because I believe so much that you can give what you don't have. So join me today and welcome my friend, my very, very special friend and brother, and Yanick Hicks. And Yanick Hicks is an executive director in the Maxwell Leadership, and also, a certified coach, speaker, and trainer. Yanick has really been he has added so much value to my life, and I know what I'm talking about, because this podcast, is meant to showcase things like that. Everything I'm doing right now is a product of many people that have really poured into me. So welcome here, Yanick Hicks, and Yanick also will share with us and who he is, and tell us in brief about who Yanick Hicks is. I don't want to do all the introduction. So welcome, Yanick. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Michael. I really appreciate you and also the person you've become and giving me this opportunity. And I love your commitment, just being a friend with you and just seeing your total commitment. Because there are people that have come into this, say, hey, Yanick, if you convince me, I'm going to do some great thing. And they're not here today. But my story just basically, just to keep it short, I came to the US as a teenager. And so my mom wanted me to pursue the career of pharmacy. It was the right thing. It was the right way. And so I went, I came here high school. So I decided to, go to college, pre-pharmacy. And then, a situation happened. And that's how I stumbled into personal growth and development. You see, my teenage years and college years, I was following the wrong crowd, drinking, smoking, and basically a lot of negative influences and stuff. So I was basically lost. I was a wandering generality instead of a meaningful specific. And so I basically hit rock bottom in 2012 when I was going to one of our normal parties with my friends, and we have been drinking, and I happened to be the driver, and we got pulled over by the police, and I went to jail for driving under the influence of alcohol. And that's when I took a hit. And basically, I have been wanting to get into pharmacy school that particular time period, and nothing seems to be working. I was basically stuck. I hit rock bottom. I was basically at a crossroad. Now I'm fighting the DUI. None of the pharmacy schools will accept me. And what was I going to do with my life? Well, good fortune came my way, right? Who can explain good fortune? Jim Rohn says, things just don't happen. Things happen just. So my best friend, we're having a phone conversation, and he said, have you heard of Joel Osteen? I said, no. He said, hey, he's a minister. You should check him out. I had never listened to any ministers or any of those sort. I grew up Catholic. And so when I listened to Joel Osteen, that was a turning point in my life. That's when I began this journey, spiritual and personal growth and development, began to discover who I am and what my purpose is. And I began to change. And the rest is history. When I changed, everything began to change for me. I stopped the party, the drinking habit, the smoking. I got the DUI dropped. I became a new person, and I got into pharmacy school. I was a new person in pharmacy school now. I began to study John Maxwell, and that's when things went to a whole new level. And I began to see myself as a motivational speaker and thought leader speaking in front of thousands of people. And that dream came, and that's the dream now I'm living.
Wow, that's
Basically out of
awesome.
my pain came my purpose.
That's awesome. That's quite phenomenal. I always like this quote that you reference from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn has been one of my mentors. I learn a lot from Jim Rohn, and I like the way you really always say it, because you're not just a sayer, you are a doer. I've worked with you and I've seen the kind of results that you have really brought, and I mean you've really had under your belt. You said things don't just happen. Things happen just. Wow, that was deep. I'm a great fan of inspiring quotes. I have a group called Thinkers Island, almost 200 people on that platform of professionals around the world. We got professors, PhD holders, bankers, pharmacists, doctors, people of wit and grit, people that are making a difference, people that have gone through my training, and I share with them a minimum of 5 inspiring quotes every day, every blessed day, and something that will help to inspire great thoughts, because thoughts are very, very, very unique. Thoughts can change, the way someone is living. So at what point in your life did you have the awareness of your leadership potential? I believe everyone is born with a leadership potential, and it comes to us as a seed. So, and what we do in the terms of the development is what makes all the difference. So there's no such things that someone say, I'm not a leader. No, you are a leader. And what qualifies you to be a leader, because you are made in God's image. You got God's DNA running inside of you. So there's a leadership potential in every creation of God. So when we become aware of that potential, and begin to do something about it, another leader begin to emerge. So at what point in your life did you have that awareness? Because awareness is the first stage. After awareness, the second stage is acceptance of responsibility. That is when the change begins to happen. But we can accept responsibility for what we don't acknowledge. So the first thing is to be aware. Oh, yeah, you just have that awareness, that eureka moment, that, oh, there's something that I have. Like Eric Thomas said, I was listening to him in a particular Live to Lead, and he was saying that, that there's a time in his life that he found that he has this gift from God. And we all have that. But at what point did Yanick Hicks, that has been a blessing to so many people in the whole world, including myself, at what point did you become aware of this leadership potential? Thank you.
So I said the day my life turned around was in 2013, like I shared. And that's when I started a personal growth journey from Joel Osteen to Jim Rohn and some of the other thought leaders. And so I was growing personally, especially I like to wake up in the morning while I'm exercising, I'm listening to growth. And that's how I kind of start my day. And so while in pharmacy school, I had a roommate. And I had never seen myself as a leader. I've always known, growing up in the culture in Africa, leaders are the people up there. As a matter of fact, when I was in college, they gave me the award for Mr. African Time, because I didn't take anything seriously. I was always coming late, and they gave me an award for Mr. African Time. That's how nobody that knows me actually saw anything in me. Even some of my friends said, I can't even believe what you're doing now. I didn't see that. I didn't even see that myself. But my roommate knew I was into personal growth and listening to Jim Rohn. And then one day he said, and this was 2013, he said, have you heard of John Maxwell? I said, no. He said, hey, John Maxwell is the #1 leadership expert. I know you're into this stuff if you check him out. And so I went and I listened to John Maxwell, and that was another shift. Because all I heard John says, leadership is all about adding value to others, about serving people. He shifted my mindset from me to we. Because you see, I was growing personally, listening to Jim Rohn and those stuff, but the concept of leadership was a shift in mindset. Now, hey, get out of yourself, and now how can you begin to develop people? And he began to talk about leadership is influence. And that's when I was, using CDs in the car. Now there's all type of technology. And I got the 21 laws. I got developed, I was listening to it in my car, and I was listening on a daily basis. I began to read John's book. That's when I began to see myself as an influence. And then I'll go to school and I'll apply it, because I'm all about application, not just learning. And I'll apply it. And I became the most influential person in my school, pharmacy school, and I didn't have any position. And by the time a position opened up at the school, president-elect of our chapter, American Pharmacists Association, I got the role, because I had been already just influencing people, just applying the principle. That's when I got introduced to John. That's when I began to see myself as a leader, as an influencer. Wow. And and as a matter of fact, through the process, I was like, I can do this. I can do what John Maxwell and Les Brown and I began to envision myself doing it. I saw myself more as that type of person.
That's awesome. So you got that awareness when you are in a pharmacy school, but at what point? Because I believe that there's no, John said something in his book that is about to come out, John Maxwell, the law of communication, the 16 undeniable law of communication. The book is coming out next month. I'm privileged to be part of the launch team. And the thing about this, what he said about the law of development, he talked about the law of development in the law of communication. One of the law that he shares, he said, you cannot deliver what you have not developed. He said, you cannot deliver what you cannot develop. A lot of people, they always want to go into delivery mode. They want to share something. And just like Jim Rohn said, speaking, learning how to speak is called survival. He said, but learning how to speak well is success. I said, wow, that was awesome, So, because it's true, because some people, they speak for 1 hour, they got paid $150,000. And some people, they speak all day, they got nothing. So, the thing is not just speaking, because learning how to speak will just give us survival. And that's the ground zero level of life. But learning how to speak well. So the emphasis is well. And that comes through development. That's why we call this podcast Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. Because there's no leadership advancement without paying the price of development. So the question is, at what time did you begin to intentionally pay the price of development of your leadership potential that leads to your own leadership advancement? At what point in your life?
Yeah, I think the thing is, I was going personally. When I got introduced to John Maxwell and I started listening, that's when I started my, I would say, leadership journey, listening to that. And then I wasn't so much a consistent daily reader like I am today, but every now and then I got John's book and I'll read his book, but I was listening to audio on a daily basis. So now when I got introduced to John, now that became my next obsession. So now I began to develop myself. I began to see that, hey, I get along with people very well. And then and then when I became president-elect and then eventually president of our chapter American Farm, then I knew that, hey, I got this, this gift for leadership. And I loved and I was just developing. And then while in pharmacy school, I'll go to conferences and I was always going to events. I went to John Maxwell event. I got into Toastmasters because now, in order to become a better leader, you got to become a better speaker and communicator. So paying the price. That's why John says there's no stopping in paying the price. You start somewhere and then you go, the next level requires another level of price. And so, yeah, when I'm in pharmacy school, paying the price. And then when I got out of pharmacy school, now there's another level of price that I had to pay right now, as a pharmacist. And then now from a pharmacist to the John Maxwell team, and doing the John Maxwell team is way higher price than if I was just practicing as a pharmacist, getting into business. But and then when I did the disc also, and it shows that my primary personality is a D, it just kind of confirmed for me now. Even got, because I just looked at it also, that I know that it came naturally, but I think also doing the disc kind of have me really see that, hey, I have that talent. And so now how can I cultivate that talent now to reach my potential? So now I'll focus, if I have to read books, at least leadership has to be there on a consistent basis, because I have that talent, I have that gift. And also
So what I'm hearing from you is talent is never enough. No matter the talent that you have, there's still need for development. John Maxwell wrote a book called Talent is Never Enough. Because a man that is committed, that is putting in the work, someone said hard work will beat talent when talent refuses to work. So no matter the talent you have, until you pay the price of development, you can experience advancement. Now, another critical question I'm going to ask as we start wrapping up is, what can you say about the place of mentorship? What can you say about the place of mentorship to your own personal development? There's a quote I like to refer to, and this quote is very unique. It's from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and the quote was really focused on the place of mentorship. He said we need people that will inspire us. I'm actually paraphrasing. That's not the way he really, but I'm bringing the substance. He said we all need people that will inspire us to be we who could be. There's someone that we could be. So we have the potential, but we all need someone that can inspire us to become the person that we could be. And that's the place of mentorship. I always say this way: mentors deliver us, from tormentors, and that's the power of a mentor. And I believe one thing, for everyone to succeed in life, you need four things, and this is a LAMP. This podcast is called LAMP, Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. So I created an acronym called LAMP for everyone to. I actually learned this from a mentor, and he didn't call it LAMP. I repackaged it, and I call it LAMP, as a brand. So for everyone to succeed in life, we need four things. Number one, L. It starts with an L. So learning. You need to be committed to learning. Learning, not just surface learning, in-depth learning. There must be a strong commitment to learning, because learning helps us to be exposed to new thoughts that can change the direction and the course of our life. So the second thing is A. I told you the acronym is LAMP, L-A-M-P. A means you need to apply what you are learning, application. And that's what Yanick was saying earlier on, that it's not just learning something, because Jim Rohn said the ultimate of learning must lead to doing. You have to take action. You have to apply. So because when there's a personal application, you create your own experience, and that increases your self-esteem and confidence. So learning, the second thing is apply what you learn. You need to apply what you learn. Don't just learn. Make sure you find an opportunity to apply what you learn. And the third thing is M. Start with M, which is mentorship or coach. You need mentorship. You need coaching. So you need a mentor or a coach. Because lack of coach will make you to be a victim of reproach. So and lack of mentor will expose you to the tormentors of life. So there's a need for that. The last one is P. The P, I created an acronym for that. You need a peer. Peer means positive, encouraging, empowering relationships. That means you need a peer group, people that are going in the same direction that you're going. You need people that are going in the same direction to be like an accountability partner. People that you learning the same thing, you growing the same way. So you need that kind of peer. We've often asked, had this term used, peer pressure. Listen, peer pressure is being used mostly in the negative stance. It can also mean the positive stance. So we can have a negative peer pressure and we can have a positive peer pressure. So the one that I'm referring to is positive peer. That's why I call it positive, encouraging, empowering relationships. Now, what can you say about the role of mentorship? What can you tell our listeners? Because at times a lot of people, they think that they don't need a mentor, they are fine, they are good by themselves, they don't need anybody to mentor them, and that's pride. That's pride.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible says everybody they have to submit to someone. See, the thing is, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. Les Brown said, you can't see the picture because, here's the thing, we all have blind spots. I mean, if you don't think you have a blind spot, you have a huge blind spot, right? It's probably not fixable. So that's why you need someone that can, see those spots, those blind spots, and someone who can see potential in you that you wouldn't see for yourself. We see mentors help you to see more than you can see in yourself and help you to develop capacity and potential. You see, mentorship is powerful because mentor helps you to see beyond yourself, to help you to, like Jim Rohn says, to avoid the dangers ahead and take advantage of the opportunities, because they've been there before, they've experienced it. And I mean, it accelerates your journey. When you go by yourself, you can only go this, but a mentor will take you way much further and accelerate your journey. Here's the thing, when I was in pharmacy school and I joined Toastmasters, and even I had this lady that was my coach while I was in pharmacy school, and then someone else that also was it was like a mentor in speaking. But right now, I'm actually the one that is actually mentoring those people. And they were my mentors. And I was like, what changed? I mean, well, I'm committed to personal growth and stuff, but I realized that joining the Maxwell Leadership Organization with the leadership lead and the mentorship of the organization accelerated my journey much quicker than some of these people. Because the mentors, we're talking about lead of leadership and mentoring, John Maxwell, and then the other mentors in the faculties, and then all those stuff. So those people, they might be growing and stuff, but they're only growing at a certain pace. But being mentored is taking my journey quicker than maybe the average person. That's why we need mentorship, because mentors help you to see, help you to avoid dangers, to take advantage. They help you to develop capacity and potential. They can see more in you than probably you can see in yourself. And that's why I use mentorship. I have one of my mentors here in Arizona. We meet in person once a month for lunch. Very successful man, and I just have a bunch of questions. And my word of the year is because I learned from him. I mean, every time I come back from our mentoring, I'm fired up. I'm willing to go change the world. That's what can happen with mentorship.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Yanick. It's been great having you on this week podcast. Thank you for really sharing your development process that has led to your leadership advancement and emphasizing the place of mentorship. So how can people connect with you? Let's say people were listening to you that, this Yanick is just fired up. He's just a bunch of inspiration. How can I get more of Yanick? So how can people connect with you? Thank you.
Yeah, you can connect with me. You can go to my first and last. You can type in, you can just do yannickhicks.com. You go to my website, or you can find my Yanick Hicks either on Facebook or LinkedIn. So you can just do yannickhicks.com. You can go to my website and put your information there, or you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Yanick Hicks.
Thank you so much, Yanick. It's been a great time with you. And thank you, listeners. It's been joy bringing this week Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast to you. And join me this time next week with another great guest that'll be sharing their leadership journey. Thank you. See ya next week. Bye-bye.